Imagine a world where your life savings are a stack of cash under your mattress, trade relies on trust, and debt is a handshake agreement. Suddenly, banks vanish. Chaos, revolution, a return to simpler times. And let's find the answer to the question, what if? The sudden disappearance of banks would trigger immediate chaos. A mass panic would ensue as people raced to withdraw their cash, leading to a run on existing reserves and potentially causing hyperinflation. The value of existing currency would plummet, creating widespread uncertainty. Simultaneously, the economy would grind to a halt. Businesses unable to access credit or payroll systems would struggle to operate. Supply chains would collapse and international trade would grind to a standstill. In this crisis, however, alternative financial systems would begin to emerge. Local barter systems, community lending circles, and perhaps even novel cryptocurrencies based on trust and reputation rather than centralized institutions would spontaneously appear, attempting to fill the void left by the traditional banking sector. This initial period would be marked by significant hardship and disruption as society scrambled to adapt to a radically different economic landscape. In a bankless world, the fundamental nature of value and exchange would transform. Bartering and direct trade, reminiscent of ancient economies, would become commonplace. Imagine bustling farmers markets not just in local towns, but on a global scale, with individuals exchanging goods and services directly. Simultaneously, localized currencies might emerge, possibly tied to regional resources or labor, creating diverse economic landscapes. A farmer in a wheat-producing region might use bushels of wheat as currency, while a skilled artisan in another region might use their craft as a medium of exchange. Crucially, trust and reputation would become paramount. Successful transactions would hinge on strong community bonds and established social networks, transforming social capital into an invaluable asset, far outweighing the role of traditional credit scores. This shift would necessitate a reevaluation of personal relationships and community participation. A bankless world would severely cripple governmental function. Losing control over monetary policy would render traditional inflation and interest rate controls useless, forcing radical changes in fiscal policy. The distribution of wealth would likely shift dramatically, potentially empowering influential families or guilds and leading to entirely new political structures. Instead of monetary taxation, governments would need to collect goods and services directly, a system prone to inefficiency and conflict. Imagine the logistical nightmare of a government attempting to collect its tax revenue in bushels of wheat, barrels of oil, or hours of skilled labor. This shift would require not only a complete restructuring of governmental agencies, but also a fundamental reimagining of the relationship between the state and its citizens. The very definition of political power would be redefined, shifting away from monetary control towards other forms of influence and control. Technological innovation would be crucial in a bankless world. Decentralized digital currencies built on blockchain technology could offer secure and transparent transactions, bypassing the need for intermediaries. However, these systems would require careful design to prevent manipulation and ensure equitable access. Simultaneously, new technologies for record keeping and transaction tracking would be essential to maintain accountability and prevent fraud. Instead of relying on centralized databases vulnerable to hacking, distributed ledger technologies could provide a more robust and secure solution. Finally, the shift away from globally interconnected systems would likely favor the development of localized technological solutions tailored to specific regional needs and contexts. This could lead to a more diverse technological landscape, with different communities developing their own unique approaches to financial management. A bankless world would profoundly reshape societal structures. Increased reliance on community would foster stronger local networks and mutual support systems, potentially leading to a greater sense of collective responsibility and shared resources. This shift could also alter our values, prioritizing community bonds and practical skills over material wealth accumulation. However, this transition isn't guaranteed to be egalitarian. The emergence of new power structures, based on access to resources or influence, could create new forms of inequality, potentially mirroring or even exacerbating existing disparities. The long-term impact hinges on how effectively alternative systems address fairness and resource allocation. A bankless world would initially cause chaos, but lead to innovative alternative financial systems and societal shifts. In your opinion, what if the world no longer has banks? Share your thoughts in the comments.